The 8 most common interview questions. You and I both have attended many interviews. And let's be very honest, at the beginning, sometimes we really messed up answering some questions. We didn't really know what does our interviewer actually want us to say. Now, in this video, I'm going to talk about why employers ask those questions, because having a bit of background to the purpose of those questions will help you frame better answers. And so good luck for the next interview. Now, let's talk about the first question. That is, tell me about yourself. Most people start thinking what to say, or how should I frame my sentence, what should be the first thing I need to talk about, what can be second, and what can be third, and so on. Now remember, the purpose of asking this question is to help the conversation get started with the candidate, and then you can transition into more details. As a candidate, this is your first impression, so try to relate your answer to the job you have applied for. Okay, this tells you how aware are you of the role based on the job description that you read probably on one of the job portals. So try to tailor your conversation to the audience you're talking to. Your conversation can be different when you're talking to a recruiter versus when you're talking to a CEO. Let's get to our next question. What are your strengths, or what are your greatest strengths? Now, if you've read or copied your answer for this question, interviewers will most likely find out that this is actually not your strength at all, perhaps because of the body language that is not matching with what you're saying. So try to write down what skills and experience you have currently that are related to the job. Then describe your skills or that experience to the employer. Try to mention at least 3 with a maximum of 5 skills in this conversation. Also, your message should highlight what you have to offer the company so that they can consider you for the next steps. What is your weakness? Now that's our next question, right? This might be asked in a different way, but the purpose of the question is interviewers are trying to know you better in terms of what is it that you're not good at, but you are working to make yourself better. So do not feel embarrassed about something that you're not generally good at, as long as that you're working on it. So try to express it and do show what you are doing in order to improve in that particular weakness of yours. Do not go blank here, because if you have nothing to say, it means you are not really self-aware. Now, there is something more important to pay attention to. Our next question is, why are you interested in working with our company? Try to answer it this way. Think of, why will the company hire me? What can you do for it to be successful? So, in order to answer it better, or how you can help the company grow, is by reading out what the company currently does, what's its situation financially, let's say, what industry does it fall under, what are the industry trends, what is it that the company is missing out from its own competitors, and how by hiring you can they face that challenge and be better. Another very great question is, what have you done to develop or change yourself in the last few years? This could be framed in a different sentence structure. However, the purpose remains very simple. Employers want to know, what are you doing to learn? So, do you always rely on a company training? Yes, it's good that you can highlight about a company training that was recently offered to you when you took it up. But it's also nice if you can highlight your personal goals and what are you doing to achieve your personal goals. Are you taking any online courses? Are you attending any certifications or trainings, etc.? Now, shall we talk about scenario-based questions? A very common scenario-based question will be, give me an example of a time when you showed leadership and initiative. The answer for this question can be broken down into various parts. You could be a person with no experience at all in terms of work experience. You could be a person with a limited work experience, and you could be a person with a huge, vast work experience. So let's say you will have to pick up a relevant example so that you can talk about it, and this example should be a very recent one. So let's say you are at high school or college, you can talk about organizing a study group where you communicated to people about it, what were the challenges while you were working to gather people, educate them, what you had done to make it successful, and so on. For example, now if you're a person who has a bit of experience, you can always talk about problems. Here, we're talking about a problem that you identified at your business or your company. No one was aware of it. However, you identified it and you found a solution to it, right? So you're going to be describing about this particular answer from this idea. During our employment time with any company, we might be given the responsibility of training new members. So let's say you had to train even like one person or maybe a group of 3 or 5 people. You're going to describe how you trained them. How did you ensure they were ready to perform the job? What tools did you use? What methods did you use? How did you ensure people were all fit to get started? Okay. And now, if you're a consultant or you've been a project manager, you've handled various projects, you can talk about how you are able to coordinate with multiple projects at the same time while you're also making sure that you meet the deadlines. How do you handle difficult clients? How do you deal with situations when people want to make changes? It's time to be a little more specific. You might be asked by your interviewer that if you were hired, what ideas will you contribute to your role? Now here, I'm sure you must have read about the job description when you applied for it. So remember, you're going to answer it in the STAR method, which is you will describe about a situation, the tasks or actions that you will do, and what is the result that will be obtained. So here you can relate about your accomplishments, the depth of related work experience that you have, and then connect your answer to employer's goals. Remember, the candidate who really fits the organizational culture gets hired. So you have to make sure in every answer you are able to relate yourself to the job you've applied for and to the employer you're currently sitting in the interview with. Now, towards the end of the interview, your employer asks, now this is the final question, and they'll ask you, do you have any questions for me? Well, if you did not research about the company or the job, you of course have no questions for me. But the first time I was asked this question, I seriously went blank. I thought to myself, what do you mean by, do you have any questions for me? I really have no questions for you. And instead, I didn't really know how to answer and say like, no, I don't have any questions for you. And well, now let me tell you why you should have had questions, right? You've applied for the job at the company, you've read the job description, but it doesn't really tell you what everyday work looks like at the company. So what are the job responsibilities on a daily basis? Which departments are you going to work with if you were hired? What does the career path look like? How will your employer measure your performance? So all these set of questions are good if you have asked when you were given the opportunity, because let's say when you're hired, you actually have no idea about all of it and you're totally blank, you're just getting started with work, and then things start becoming a surprise for you. Thank you for watching this video. Go ahead and subscribe to this channel. There's a lot more useful content on the way.